This is Resident Evil, the Darkside Chronicles on the Nintendo Wii. Like the previous Resident Evil game I reviewed for the Wii, the Umbrella Chronicles, this is a gun shooty, on-rails shooter type game. I need to come out with something that they probably properly call this thing, but yeah, this is, again, takes elements from the Resident Evil series and sort of combines them together into this sort of spin-off game. And again, it's really good. The graphics are absolutely fantastic and the sound is brilliant. The gameplay is really good too. I really do like this game. This is at the start of the game and it builds up a nice bit of tension, you know, just sort of walking around this abandoned village. You know that something bad is going to happen, it's just a case of when. Once again, you know, you've got very limited movement. It's very, very similar gameplay to Resident Evil, the Umbrella Chronicles. So you have quite a bit of limited movement in terms of what you can look at and what you can do. After all, it is an on-rail shooter, so not a first-person shooter, so you're not going to get the freedom to explore properly. But that's not a bad thing. As I say, the Resident Evil games, like I said in my Umbrella Chronicles review, the Resident Evil games really do lend themselves to this type of genre, and it does work. I mean, it is executed really well. Believe me, it's easy to stuff something up, even though it should be quite a simple and straightforward thing to do. It always is the easiest thing in the world to make a complete pig's ear of it. But fortunately that's not happened. Again, you know, the game itself is compelling, it's tense, there's action in it, there's, you know, you feel like you're unlocking certain things. In the Resident Evil universe, bits of storyline and snippets and so on. And, you know, Resident Evil's kind of been one of those interesting franchises that, you know, there's been that many games made of it now. If you consider games, the original games that came out on the PlayStation, and then you've had the spin-off games as well, which is one of them. You always know when you're dealing with the core games because they have a number after them. So you've got your Resident Evils 1 through to 6 now, because Resident Evil 6 is coming out later this year. Those games deal with the main plot, the main storyline, but there are a number of spin-off titles as well. I've just been playing Resident Evil Revelations on the 3DS, and that's fantastic as well. That's a really good game, and it's kind of interesting is how Capcom have kept the franchise alive, and I'd say fresh, but a lot of people say, oh, it's not now, you know, there's been too many of them, it's become a bit boring, but I tend to disagree. I still really like them. I'm a fan of the series, and you know, the thing that they couldn't do, and I'm glad they didn't do it, was you couldn't keep making the same fixed camera viewpoint survival horror game that they were making previously. That's just not a practical thing that they could have done. You know, they mixed it up with Code Veronica, where they went to a more 3D dynamic environment, and essentially it didn't. I'm not going to say it didn't work, because it did, but essentially the game wasn't that dissimilar. It was still pretty much the same. Whereas they changed it up with Resident Evil 4, and it became more of a third-person shooter, and that went down a lot better. People really liked it, and it got a lot of rave reviews, and it was considered to be, you know, a fantastic direction to take the series in. It revived it, it kept it alive. And they did Resident Evil 5, and you know, the same people that were that were saying how great Resident Evil 4 was suddenly didn't like it because it was on the next gen, and everybody, you know, was saying how rubbish the franchise was going again. And now the prospects of Resident Evil 6, how's that going to be? I don't know. But going back to the Darkside Chronicles, I just think it's really good playing a game like this. It looks great, it plays great, you know, it's got a good storyline to it. It helps fill in a lot of the, you know, bits in between the series, how certain things happen, where this character came from, so on and so forth. And it's good the way it's done, because you don't need that information in order to enjoy Resident Evil, the main run of games. This works really well as a spin-off in its own right, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think that the boss battles in it are really good. You'll see one coming up very shortly, and it's well executed. It's a well executed game. It's good variety in the bad guys and the monsters that you face. There's a good variety in the settings as well, you know, in the environments and so on and so forth. And yeah, it has subtle improvements over the Umbrella Chronicles. The reloading, to me, although it's very similar, just seems to be that little bit more responsive. You know, the way certain things work in the game as well, they just seem to work better. And you know, it's good to see that they didn't just throw out another rehash of what had already gone before. They went away and they tried to improve it. And they tried to come up with, you know, like this Kermit the Frog monster there, for example. They tried to come up with strange and bizarre creatures for you to fight as well. This here is a boss battle, and you know, again, it's quite involving. It's surprising how much tension you can put into a boss battle like this when you're dealing with something being an on-rail shooter, because you don't have any control over A, where the camera's pointing, and B, where you're going to end up. So essentially all you're trying to do is just hit the buttons in the right order at the right time. But it's been cleverly done, and it does still feel like a, you know, a tense fight. So that's pretty much it. This is Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles on the Wii. It's well worth checking out. It's a really good game, and thank you for watching this video. Please stay tuned to my channel for more videos coming up soon, and thank you for watching.